All right, welcome everyone to Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, Argo City Rollouts and Community Meeting. Um, Please remember everyone to one, act in accordance to the CNCF Code of Conduct. And two, if you haven't already, go ahead and drop your information in the doc here. I'll just put it in the chat in case no one has it. Today we got Michael Crenshaw here and Zach Aller to go over kind of an update on the GetOps promoter. Let them talk about the GetOps promoter, maybe a demo. Not sure what they have prepared, but um, I'll go ahead and hand it off to them to give a presentation on the promoter.
So for folks who have seen like past talks about GitOps Promoter, we don't necessarily have anything super shiny and new to show you. Just sort of news about the progress of the project. We've cut a few minor releases. We're keeping it in like the 0.x range because we want to be able to break stuff with impunity. But we've added GitLab support. We've added some nice stuff like the ability to rebase branches to avoid conflicts in PRs. So it's coming along. We've also got someone who's working on a UI for it. Zach has already set up a server similar to how Argo Rollouts has a server where you can run a local dashboard to monitor your rollouts. We've started on work to monitor promotions via a local dashboard, and then we'll work on embedding that in the Argo City UI via an extension. But all that to say, coming along, Zach can show a demo, which will look very familiar for folks who've seen past talks, but hopefully for folks who haven't seen it yet, can bring up questions. So yeah, I'll pass it to Zach.
Cool. Let me share my screen. Everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Cool.
See it.
So I'll give kind of just a top level overview of the setup first. We have a kind of a pretty standard customized environment set up here. We have our base directory, which is shared across all these environments. We have a development environment that has a single app in it, a staging app that has two apps in it, and a production app that has two apps in it. And if we go look over at Argo CD, we can see that we basically have the same thing here. We have development, staging, the two staging apps, the two production apps. We have a very simple promotion strategy that basically deploys development first, staging, and production. We will not automatically merge development just for demo sakes, which means we'll have to kind of start the kickoff. And we have a single check, which is the previous environment healthy according to Argo CD. So let's first go look back at basically our user configuration, and we're going to make a change here that will affect all environments. This could be an image bump, anything along those lines. If we come over here and we'll just bump this common annotation and we will commit that. What happens then? This depends on Argo CD's new hydration feature. So if we go look at the development app, we'll see that the application manifest is set to basically hydrate to a new branch called development next. And it's looking for a sync source for a development branch. So we should be able to go over to our current repo and see that our development next branch has a commit that just happened for Argo CD hydrating, which means that the promoter wrong repo, which means that the promoter has probably started opening up PRs for each of these environments. We can look into them real quick and see the diffs of each of them and see that it's a pretty simple change. We bumped that 149 across two applications here because staging has two applications. If we were to go look at development, it's a little bit simpler, and we can see that there's just a single application, 3 files changed. In Argo CD, if we were to go look at our promotion strategy application, we'll see that we also have these pull request objects for each of our environments. And like I said before, the development environment auto merge was false. So the lowest level environments has no previous environment. So normally it would go ahead and just basically automatically merge this PR. But because we have that turned off, I will come in here and I'll just quickly merge this PR here. We should be able to go over to the pull request and see that it has been merged, which means that because auto sync is on, Argo CD should start immediately syncing this as soon as it refreshes here. So this is now being deployed. So that's progressing. We'll notice that the staging branch is pending merge because environment development isn't synced and healthy yet. So within the promoter, for those that aren't haven't seen any of the previous talks, we basically gate promotions based off of commit status checks from various SCM providers. And we have a representation of this that lives in Kubernetes as well. So as we saw, it just went healthy and the promoter immediately merged staging. We can then go look in Argo CD, and shortly here we should see that the 2 staging apps are now going to start being deployed. And we can go look in production, the production branch, and see that we are, waiting for staging to become healthy. And we see that the 2 staging apps are now actively being deployed with that little bump that we did. To roll out, once that completes, we'll see that the staging environment is healthy, and so the promoter will go ahead and merge this PR, which merges basically next into the production branch. What Argo CD is hydrating to this branch and it's syncing from this branch. I'll give that just a quick second. We'll see that it's healthy now, and just very shortly then the promoter has merged it. Argo CD should then start deploying the 2 production applications here. And those checks can be basically anything. We have a Kubernetes resource called commit status. And basically the spec for a commit status is pretty simple. It's a SHA and then the phase, and then the name for the check, and then a Git repository reference, which is some other items, other Kubernetes resources that represent a Git repository. And so people can create controllers to create these to gate on pretty much anything that they want. One of the controllers that we have included within the promoter is an Argo CD commit status. And all this does is it basically selects a grouping of applications based on a label, and then it will report the current running state. It'll automatically create the commit statuses for each of those running environments and continuously report their status, that then promotion strategy can basically key on as a check that's required to pass before merge PR. You can do things like, linters or basically anything. You can even not use the commit status resource and actually just put the block on the SCM itself, because the promoter can't override any of the SCM's settings. So if you have a GitHub action or some other third-party tool that will just create a commit status for you, that's also allowable, basically. That's pretty much the demo. It's pretty quick. If you haven't seen it on a previous talk, that's it. Questions?
I have a question. I think I asked this before, but I may have forgotten the answer. So I know you can use Hydrator independently of promoter, but does the promoter need Hydrator?
It needs a hydrator. It doesn't have to be Argo CD. The contract that, so basically, if you don't use Argo CD, you would need a custom hydrator and a custom applier. An example that I like to use is like deploying something to a CDN. Could be as simple as copying some files around. And then the contract for that is basically is if we look at the development next branch, all the hydrator has to do is create this metadata file and create a dry or put this dry SHA in this file as the SHA that was used from master or main to do the hydration. So you could create any hydrator that it could be as simple as copying files. It could be as simple as whatever your hydration could be, Helm template, and then drop this file in the hydrated next branch, and then have something, watching the active branch and sync that could be, doing config on a CDN or whatever. It could non-Kubernetes resources basically could use the promoter with a custom hydrator and a custom applier.
Gotcha. So in theory, I can hydrate in CI, and like at the end of my CI system, I can
100%.
add that. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, that
Yep.
makes sense.
And one reason people might want to build a custom hydrator is if they're running different Argo CD instances, like on different clusters. So for hydrator to push a single commit, representing changes to multiple environments, all those applications have to be running in the same Argo CD instance, because a single instance goes and lists all the apps, find all of them that push to the same branch, and writes one commit for all those apps. If those apps are managed by multiple Argo CD instances, they're going to push a bunch of different commits. And the rule for promoter is one hydrated commit for one dry commit. So if you do have that architecture with Argo CD, you may want to write CI that can look across those multiple Argo CD instances and those multiple applications and get you that single commit per dry commit. It's not a ton of code, but it is a little extra effort, and it would need to be custom. I'll point out that one significant feature that Zach and I were just talking about this morning is the ability to trace a manifest commit back to the code commit that it represents. So I make a change to my code. CI runs, builds an image, and then bumps an image tag, say, in another repository. And then I've got the hydrator that picks up that image tag bump commit and then generates another commit on a different branch of the hydrated manifests. All that has a ton of advantages, but one disadvantage is you're now 2 hops away from the code change that actually initiated the whole process. So what Zach and I have been talking about is a way for when your CI makes a change to code, for that CI to say, hey, here's your way back to the code. And then the promoter UI or the hydrator UI can present that information and say, yeah, we saw an image bump commit. Here's the code that changed that caused that image bump commit. So I just dropped a link to the issue discussing the implementation of that. And I've wondered if maybe that feature has implications for also making it easier to trace changes back to the relevant code for mono repos, because that's a problem for mono repos in Argo CD. Someone else makes a change in a different application, and now your application interface is showing stuff that has nothing to do with you. So I'm hoping we find a way to cross-apply this feature to that problem as well.
Cool. Any other question? I had a question, but it lost. I lost it as I was paying attention to what we were just explaining. Is there anyone else that has a question while I'm trying to remember what I was going to ask?
My rambling has that effect on people.
Yeah,
That's it. I was gonna bring something else up, but the same thing happened to me. So,
yeah. No.
Oh
Get
yeah.
up
Oh,
erases your mind.
yeah. I'll bring up a question that people might have. And it kind of relates to doing things like hot fixes or just how you think about the system. Um, you can really think of the system as a Kubernetes operator in itself, where whatever the defined state of each of the environments is the drive is where we're driving to. So if you do need to ever go out and make a change to say just production that basically needs to go out right away, right? You can always go into your desired state, your end goal, make the change just to whatever particular environments you want. And the promoter will open up a PR just for production. Or if there's one that already exists, it'll tack on that commit to just that PR, right? And then as a GitHub admin, you can slash merge either via the GitHub UI or GitLab UI or whatever it might be, while still respecting any type of, you know, end user requirements on merging that PR and any of the policies that GitHub has to, let you smash merge, all still are in effect. So maybe only admins can do that, or maybe you need 2 reviewers to basically push out that hot fix. So whatever you might need, you can still do that. And everything works basically. It's just as long as you get the idea of that what you're defining is the end state for every environment in your Git repo.
Cool. I just remembered my question.
Cool.
um it looks like this is using the I guess, like, what is it, go get, or like um the backend SDK for GitHub. Is there support for, like, let's say, like GitLab or other, like, I don't want to say the word, but Bitbucket, or any other, but any other SCMs?
There is GitLab is supported. So someone added support for that. It's a pretty simple contract. We don't use that many provider APIs. We basically use commit status API and then the pull request APIs to open and close pull requests. Um, so it's pretty lightweight as far as what you have to implement a new provider. A lot of the work happens with just the Git client itself, the Git protocol client, but those 2 commit status and pull request APIs do need a provider implemented.
Gotcha. Do you have, like, I don't know, like an interface or whatever?
Yeah, it's just a Go interface. There's
Yes, yeah.
a couple functions on it that you basically have to implement. The 2 that exist today are GitHub and GitLab. Yeah. And there's some issues to add others, and some people have shown some interest in Azure and various other ones. So
Yeah, now 3 minutes ago, someone opened a PR to head for Joe support.
oh, interesting. Which I think gets you Git Tia as well or whatever. I think they're like the same API kind of thing.
Cool, cool. All right. Yeah, any other questions or any comments, concerns? Nope. Cool. All right. So thank you, Michael. Thank you, Zach, for coming on, presenting here. I always like us seeing the evolution of how this is going. It all looks pretty cool. So awesome. Cool. All right. Yeah, so unless there's not anything else, I'll give everyone maybe a little more than half an hour back here. Next time, future topics, July 2nd, Jan's gonna come on to talk about the Argo City agent. So that's on the calendar there. And if you have any ideas or anything you want to present or talk about, feel free to reach out. Feel free to throw it on the future topics doc. So so that way I don't have to go out and bug people. So if you have ideas and stuff, you can throw it on there, and I'll get on the calendar. So awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, I'll see you.
All right. Cheers.